Joined now by our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, thank you for your time today.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Duke.
Well, while I won't say it's the most original document, wink, wink, you and I have been saying this in almost exactly the same way for years now, but Prager, who carries a lot of clout in the conservative community, he does really good work at PragerU. He's come out and said, basically, get your kids out of public schools or the country will not be able to be saved. Talk about Prager, and is this a new thing for Prager?
Well, Prager has been inching closer and closer and closer to our position on this, that you need to get the kids out for a long time. And this, I think, is his strongest piece yet, indicating that it's time to go. He has said it several times before, you should get your children out, you should get your children out. But in this column, this was published by WND, and I write for WND, full disclosure, great publication. And what he said is just, look, the best thing that a parent who loves America, who wants to protect our country, can do to protect our nation from destruction at the hands of left-wing radicals who want to completely obliterate America is to get their children out of public school. He says it is absolutely necessary. If you love your kids, you've got to get them out. And so this is, really significant development. We've been saying, Duke, for a long time that the tide is turning. This is more evidence of that. More and more prominent people are now coming out. Rush Limbaugh did it. Franklin Graham did it. President Donald Trump said we got to protect our children from the failing government schools. So the tide is turning. The conservative movement is finally coming to its senses, ending these dumb efforts, these futile efforts to reform the system, and concentrating on the thing that matters, getting the children into the lifeboats before the ship goes down and takes America with it.
Well, I'm always impressed when, everybody from Donald Trump all the way down to Dennis Prager says this, but the question is what's the plan, right? I mean, powerful, important men like the men you named are all behind this now, but other than saying it, what are we doing? We have a reckless Department of Education in Washington, D.C., who's already told the schools that we want you to implement racial justice curriculum. We want you to focus on equity in the public schools. That's who they're going to be, their marching orders for it. Biden's got their back. Biden's already erased all the changes Trump tried to make to even out and make education more of an actual academic discipline again. That's all been erased. And we've got governors now in Republican states, including your state of Florida, who correctly outlawed, banned, got rid of, whatever you want to call it, said by law, you can't do critical race theory, and yet, quote unquote, local control schools all across Florida are still doing it. And so the question is, what can be done other than saying to get out? What meaningful plan can powerful men do to enact this?
Well, great questions, Duke. And, I almost am thankful to Joe Biden for doing this. My dad used to say when I was a kid, when I'd get in trouble, when you get to the bottom of the hole, the first thing you need to do is stop digging, right? That's where the government schools are now. Everybody in America who's paying any attention, including the liberals, are saying, whoa, what is this freak show? This is not a safe environment for children. In fact, this is terrible. And so what do the public schools do? They respond by shoveling more critical race theory on these parents. They're like spitting in the face of parents and telling them, hey, it's raining, I dare you to do something. Well, at some point, Americans are very tolerant people. They don't do, ridiculously radical things, but the point is coming. The time is coming when people are going to get out. And so one of the things that Dennis Prager said in his new column that just appeared, this was on June 7th in WND, is that, look, there's two primary reasons why parents continue to subject their children to this kind of horrific abuse that's taking in the government schools. The first main issue he mentioned is that they don't know. They're ignorant. They don't realize that their children are being destroyed. In fact, he borrowed a metaphor that we have used quite a few times, Duke. You're playing Russian roulette with your children. Only the difference is instead of having just one round in one chamber, you've got 4, maybe 5 rounds in the chamber. So your kid is almost certainly going to end up doomed as a result of this. And so what he said is parents need to recognize that this is not acceptable, right? They just don't know. Once they realize they're going to get their kids out, at least most of them, the ones who really love their kids, the ones with some common sense. And he said the second problem is that they don't realize there are options because they look around and they see all these fancy private schools that are charging all this money, and they're woke, right? They're still teaching the same garbage. And so he says, parents feel like they're trapped. Well, he says for most parents, then the default is going to have to be homeschooling. And so, Duke, you and I are doing. I mean, you're helping to lead the charge. You're running Freedom Project Academy. It's a ready-made solution, rapidly scalable. We can partner with any church in the country and set up a school there. So the infrastructure is there now to get the kids out. What we need to focus on now is raising awareness, showing parents what's going on, and I think that's got to be the plan. Once parents know, even liberals want their kids to read and do math and stuff, right? That's not a partisan issue. So I think they're digging themselves deeper into the hole, and I'm really encouraged by what's happening, Duke.
Yeah, it is, and we just need a sense of urgency now, right? COVID actually gave us a bump in the right direction. Parents got to see in these Zoom classrooms how uninterested and unprepared the teachers were. They saw from 6 months of denial how the teachers were the last people on board with actually going back to school, with actually taking masks off. Half the teachers union right now is insisting that if we go back to school in the fall, they want masks, they want separation. So we see what the purpose of the teachers unions is to protect teachers, to make sure they're getting more money and less responsibility. So hopefully parents will recognize that it's time to do this. We need a sense of urgency on this. And I think Prager's argument gives a good reason for it. And while we're at it, give a shout out for what we have just published, you and I, and where can people get their hands on it?
I'm so glad you mentioned it. We have just released a brand new tool, incredibly powerful, to deal with those parents who are ignorant. Don't let them hide. Don't let them be ostriches. Show them what's going on in the public schools. So Duke and I just collaborated. We created the sequel to the 2019 Rescuing Our Children. It's called Save Our Children, a whole special issue. Duke's got the cover story explaining the lunacy that has taken over the schools. We show how the government school system was designed to undermine Christianity and liberty in America. We exposed the critical race theory garbage, all of it. It's all in there, and that is going to be arriving in people's mailboxes who subscribe to the New American Magazine very soon in the next couple of weeks here. And you can also get copies by going to thenewamerican.com.
I can't recommend it enough. You've got a great article, one of the best articles in the entire magazine, about how Christianity is being compromised. It is a wonderful, very unique article. No one's written anything like it. And so this is 9 articles in this one magazine that will give you a comprehensive understanding of where we are. It's called Save Our Children. It's the New American Magazine. Get your hand on this. Buy a copy for everybody you know who has kids in schools. And let's try to make a sense of urgency is what we're calling for. Alex, thanks for your time today.